hasn't been done in the way that we're doing it. And I think it's significant because it's a real cultural shift in the way that we express and allow opportunity for those that never had a chance to invest in early stage startups, especially in the tech space, to have equity and be part of something that can scale just beyond what a regular business can, but especially in the places of tech, these companies can get very, very valuable. Currently, our raise is at $12,267,000 and 800. I'm sorry, $12,267,879.39 to be exact right now. And we have over 13,000 investors in our campaign. So that's just this campaign alone. Combined with the other three campaigns that we've done together, we've raised a total of over $22 million, which is really remarkable. I'm very happy and proud about that and what we've been able to accomplish. So I'll let Rama do his rapid fire questions for me, and then we'll jump right
You
back
know they're
into what we do.
they're coming.
Yeah.
So how many times can I invest in Fanbase?
You can invest in fan base as many times as you want to, as long as the round is open. We've had people invest in multiple rounds or multiple times in a single round. It does not matter. Like I said, the minimum investment is $399, and there is no maximum amount that you can invest in the platform. So um, that's that.
Now, when will the race close?
The race closes when we reach our goal of $17 million, which is pretty close, or almost about, I'd say about 5 million away, a little under $5 million away. Um, and that's when that happens, you will no longer be able to invest in fan base. So I tell people, we always tell people invest as soon as possible because you never know, and especially now because I don't know if Ramirez, you got an email or a call today, but I got one right before
I did.
this audio room. Good. And so
I did.
the urgency to invest in fan base is here for something that we've been working on for quite a while. So we tell people invest as soon as you can because the opportunity might not be there much longer.
Definitely. Now, how much can I invest? What if I want to invest much more than 390?
Yeah. So you can invest all as much as you want, millions of dollars if you choose to. And that's important. And that just gives you more equity in the company. The more you invest out of the valuation gives you a larger piece of the company. And as we grow and scale, that means the end result of our efforts, which is a liquidity event, will be how you get a return on your investment. And so the more you invest, the more you have an opportunity to see a bigger return on your investment.
Awesome. So, is startengine.com the only place where anyone can invest?
Yes, startengine.com/fanbase or invest.fanbase.app, which will take you to startengine.com, are the only two places anyone should ever reach out and tell you to invest in Fanbase. There's a lot of fraud going around where people are pretending to be people like myself. They're pretending to be me, telling you that they can help you get into crypto or cash app them or do anything like that. Do not listen to those people. I would never reach out to you directly and ask you for personal information or tell you to cash at me so you can invest in Fanbase. Per SEC regulation, anyone that invests in this company has to go through a crowdfunding site like Start Engine to legally invest in the app.
Awesome. By the way, I just realized your new profile picture looking good, man.
Yeah, man,
Um,
I'm very handsome. Okay.
okay. So let's talk a little bit about, because obviously everyone knows you as a tech founder. But let's talk a little bit about the crowdfunding journey, because there's a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurs out there that they have great ideas, and they know
Mhm.
that the road to having these VCs investing in them is not an easy road, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to share a little bit of that experience for you as a Black tech founder, and why do you think that's definitely a viable alternative for a lot of entrepreneurs out there?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we need to understand that the the accredited investor rule was a rule to lock out wealth to anybody that wasn't rich. So let's start with the reason that these type of opportunities never existed before is that you had to be what is called an accredited investor, which I'm just going to say in short term, you had to be rich already. So if you weren't rich, you couldn't put your money into companies like Apple, Google, IBM, Microsoft, and all the other private companies that existed since the rule's been around since 1933, all the way till the Jobs Act kicked in around 2015. And so the importance of that is that the opportunity to grow wealth was only limited for people to actually invest in retail stocks, right? So just it's like the after the company's already made the huge valuation and gone public. So real retail investing, gambling, so Vegas, playing the lottery, um, stuff like that. And so equity crowdfunding provides the opportunity for number one, a user to actually get equity and invest in a company. Now, as a founder, this is also important because you really primarily wind up going to one of two sources primarily, which is getting a loan from a bank or credit union, or venture capital. And the things that make those less appealing and made them less appealing for me is one, it's just hard as a business owner, a minority business owner too, to try to raise capital for your business, especially something that is intricate and vast as tech, and we don't often get those opportunities. And so I thought that was a really good opportunity to do so. And then typically, like I said, venture capital doesn't really offer a lot of opportunity for Black people to receive investment dollars. And so that's been, over the last several years, less than half of 1% of all dollars have gone into Black founded startups. So we already see there's an inequity there. So we handle that. And then thirdly, and the way that you construct your company. And this is something that I think is extremely important because I've seen a lot of founders say this. I've seen a lot of founders of all races and genders saying, dealing with VC is a different animal because typically when you take venture dollars, they have some level of control or say so over what you do with your company and your vision. And what I did not like about that is it reminded me of the music industry or being signed to a label that could say you can't put out your music right now, even though you want to put it out, or you
Yeah.
can't, you can't drop today. You can't have this artist on your album, or you can't, do these types of things. And I think that made it extremely unappealing for me because I know that once you get momentum, you're independent, it really gives you leverage against VCs for future investment because you've been able to secure dollars without their assistance, and that's something that they don't like. So number one, you're offering people to be part of deals that they were only allowed to be part of, and two, you're demystifying their stature and their importance and why people need to use venture capital. Because again, I say this all the time. If one of the reasons equity crowdfunding was kind of knocked by VCs in the beginning is because they were saying that most investors, the average person, is not sophisticated enough to know what a good company is and what to invest in to make those types of decisions. And if that is the case, why is the only barometer to invest your wealth? So just because you're rich doesn't mean you're smart. And you're taking a risk like anybody else. And so equity crowdfunding allows people to get in the game with limited risk. There's a risk, but it's limited. It's not $20,000 or $100,000 minimum. You can put, like I said, as little as $3.99 into a startup like Fanbase and get equity in the company.
Awesome, love. Thanks for that. That's awesome.
Yep.
And as I've experienced your growth as a tech founder, I also recognize how much of an expert you became in crowdfunding too. And that's why I wanted to ask you that question because there's a lot of people that they're always wondering how hard is that road and what it
It's
takes. So
well, I'll say this, it's very hard. I'll be the first person to tell you that. Um, Initially, when we first got accepted to equity crowdfunding, I think that I underestimated the level of effort it goes into launching a campaign successfully and the commitment that it takes to do so. And I found that learned that very, very early. But, once I had one moment where I really wasn't on top of my game in the very first crowdfund. And I'll tell this to any person that's listening right now, and something that Start Engine said to me, and they just candidly said, look, we can go find somebody else that wants to raise money if you're not really committed to, because this is a privilege. This is not anything that's given because less than 2% of people that actually apply to equity crowdfunding get accepted. So the fact that I did get accepted, there was enough there from a business perspective, from an idea perspective to raise, but you have to take it extremely seriously. And so I tell anybody that's interested in equity crowdfunding, you got to have your ish together. You got to have, your financials together. You got to have your corporate structure together. You have to have a great idea. You have to have things like that. And then for what we did is we built an MVP of the product so that it's something that people could download, use, assess on their own, and then decide if they wanted to invest in it, as opposed to somebody saying, hey, Isaac has an idea for an app. Here's a series of PDFs, and this is what he says it's going to do, as opposed to us making it do what I said it was going to do.
It's awesome. It's been an incredible journey for sure.
Absolutely.
So I'm writing down while you were talking some of the questions that some of our users and investors are asking on the chat.
Hmm.
Someone asked, um, how can I add to my investment? So I think that question goes around, if I already invested, what is the best way to invest again?
Yeah. So, well, I'll say this first and foremost, all of your investments or your single investment are in your Start Engine account. So if you go to startengine.com and you've invested before, you should log in. You should be able to log in and see your portfolio of your initial investment in Fanbase or your several investments in Fanbase. All you would do again is just log into your account first before you decide you want to invest again, and then go through that process, and it will add that investment to your portfolio as a separate investment. Because remember, every time that you're investing in Fanbase, in different rounds, you're investing at different valuations. And so this valuation is different from the first and the second and the third. So, but it will all be in your portfolio. So you will have an amount of shares in the company, but they will be separate investments. And so I always say, look at Start Engine as your wallet, your portfolio. If you ever want to check the status of your investment, anything that's going on, it will be reflected in your Start Engine account first, and then probably followed up with an email from Start Engine and us on any changes, if there are any changes, which we haven't really made. So
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about talking about reinvesting. Let's talk a little bit about uh, communications, but then I'll share a little bit about the rewards that you can get.
mhm.
Some right, but communication wise, I just invested in Fanbase. How does Fanbase stay in touch with me? How can I keep up with everything that's going on in the Fanbase world?
Well, I think that's important because I give us, and I don't know if and other users or investors that are in this room can reflect or add to this conversation. But I know for certain that we are one of the startups in equity crowdfunding that over communicate, and I have no problem with over communicating with our investors. And so you can, number one, we send out updates at least twice a week through the Start Engine page that will go to your email, right? Secondly, we post those updates are also available on the Start Engine page. And then secondly, there's an investor newsletter that we send out. And then we have these audio town halls every Tuesday where people can ask questions at the same time. And so there's nothing wrong with being, over communicating to people that are investing and putting their hard-earned money into a company. So I really pride us on being on us over communicating. But what I will say is some people in the past have said, hey, I've never gotten anything from you guys. I invested and I've never heard anything from you guys at all. And so a couple of things could have happened. One or three things could happen. You never completed your investment. So you never logged back into Start Engine and made sure that you were actually invested in the company. Two, once you did, you never checked those emails that you get to make sure that those emails weren't going to a spam folder. Because I think there's so many communications from a company like Start Engine on investing, there's a likelihood that those emails might wind up in a spam folder. And you do have to do the due diligence of yourself. You have your own responsibility to try to learn as much to be as tapped into the information as you can about when you do invest. So make sure that you're a part of that. And then if you have those problems, reach out to support at fanbase.app, or even any issues, reach out to investor support on Start Engine. But we over communicate. So anytime I see somebody that says, oh, I've never heard anything from you guys or got an email or notification, typically it's that those communications communications are in some sort of spam folder, and then when you find them, you'll see, oh, I've gotten a bunch of emails and a bunch of communications from you guys, and you get caught up. So you just got to check that spam folder for Start Engine and Fanbase and see if those communications pop up.
Can I say something
Hmm.
funny? Not funny when we found out, but that shows how our partnership with Start Engine really allow them to also get better as an organization, even at their
Absolutely.
tech stack layer. So we did find out that a lot of the communications were going to a junk folder, and we actually gave them some recommendations how they can clear their IP and fix that. So hopefully, some of you who probably went through having those emails in your junk folder, you have that solved. But
Well, you know what?
a lot of time we find out stuff for them and we help them fix them too, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, so funny because when you look at the Start Engine page in itself, there are multiple companies, there are multiple types of startups to invest in, right? But when you look at the landscape and even being on here, there's not that many like apps or technology companies, right? And so we happen to be a technology company that deals in the space of web and mobile and all those types of things. And so these are kind of things that we do just as normal behavior, as a company. And so it's really interesting to see that how much of a resource that we've been able to be to Start Engine just as a tech company and helping them even be able to accentuate and actually make the investment experience even better. Even on the investment page where we add the minimum to the when you first log on, like little additions that we've made even in the process. And so I'm proud that we've been able to help them because they've been such a help to us. I mean, they've been an enormous help to how we raise, and I'd love to be able to return the favor and give them some feedback in ways that they can make the investment process smoother.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a few really good questions that I want us to answer, but I will also mention that one of the new team members that joined Fanbase last week is our new product marketing manager, and as such, she's also going to help us take our investor communications to a different level as well. So not only we're going to continue communicating, but I'm expecting we're going to be improving the way we communicate, what kind of information we share. I saw some comments about some people saying, hey, it would be great if it could be videos versus just an email and so on. And all those conversations are ideas that I already heard through the product marketing team that I'm excited about. So expect same amount of communication, but definitely an improved version of it. Okay.
I can say this. I see the effect of our two new hires already, internally and externally already. And so I'm really excited and I'm proud of those hires and proud of what they've done in such a short amount of time and what we're working on. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm going to go through some of the questions. Um, Someone says, can you break down the percentage of Black people versus Hispanic versus whites and other invested in families? Are you marketing to other groups? So,
I don't have that specifically in front of me, but the actual raise is available worldwide. And so typically in equity crowdfunding, especially in those first three rounds, you really go where you're allowed to actually market your raise. And so for myself, I've been welcome in a lot of places in Black media where not necessarily I haven't been welcome in other spaces. So I would love to market to as wide of an audience as I can, but if certain media platforms or sites won't cover us in that way, but the Black ones do, then we're gonna do that. And so I have no issue with anybody investing in fan base, and I would love that. And we have investors from all over the planet. We have investors in multiple countries and stuff like that. But I know that the outlets that I've been able to have the most success at are urban media outlets that highlight what we're doing and consistently talk about what we're doing. And so you go where you're appreciated and you're celebrated. And so we've had a lot of support from Black media platforms like the Breakfast Club and Roland Martin and Earn Your Leisure and Frank Ski and Real Life Productions and Baller Alert and just so many other, platforms that have really helped fan base become visible in that way. And there's a lot more out there, granted, and I think it is, but I think from an investment standpoint, I think our investment cap table reflects the people that have allowed fan base the platform and the opportunity to spread the message and the opportunity of investing in the app.
Definitely, definitely. So I've seen a few questions about or a few statements about some saying I think investors will have an easier way of investing if they would know where the app is heading. I also saw someone saying um, that we should communicate in a different way. One thing that I want to mention, I know you mentioned it already, but I want to reiterate. If you go to startengine.com/fanbase, in there, you're going to see an updates tab. If you tap on that updates, you will also see all the updates. And in one of them, we actually spend the time through three consecutive weeks. We explain what are we doing and what are we going to be doing with the money, showing a little bit of the direction where we're heading with the platform. Just to summarize in there, you're going to see that we emphasize the importance not only in growth but retention and all the things that we think are going to help with retention, from covering some foundational fixes and work inside the platform to simplifying the way we create content, we consume content, and also we search for content and use it inside the platform. So I encourage, if you haven't seen it yet, go to startengine.com/fanbase, click on updates or tap on updates, and you will be able to see that every week we have two or three updates, but one specifically shares what we call the next phase of growth. Exactly what are we going to be doing with the money and how we're going to be using it. And as things shift and as we adapt to the ever-changing industry, we'll
Hmm.
come in here and we'll share with everyone how how are things changing as well. But again, full
Let me
visibility.
Yeah, yeah, I think well let's I mean let's talk about let's talk about that briefly. So we've made I think this regulation A raise was to give us escape velocity from where we had been in previous rounds, and the opportunity to kind of really free ourselves from some of the things that I feel like didn't give fan base the opportunity to be to scale to the level that we wanted to. And we've already achieved a lot, but if we really want to be competitive, you need capital to compete. And so the first thing that this raise was for is to be competitive. And that means from a personnel standpoint, our latest hires have worked at Meta and Instagram and Hulu and LinkedIn. They have an enormous amount of experience. And then we can briefly shout out Alvin and Ty, who we talked about, who have lent their advice and their understanding of the tech space to us as well. And they both come from Meta, over I think over 16 or 17 years combined at Meta, and years at Snapchat. And so that is really what is important for me, is it's given me the opportunity to bring people that are senior in the tech space, but also knowledgeable and really interested in helping fan base scale to the next level and being really impressed by what Ramiro on the team had built so far. So I think the ability, the reason that we are here right now is because we built a great product, and the reason we'll be able to close this round and scale some more is because now we're bringing on people to make it the best product, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to make Fanbase the best platform worldwide for creators and media and the social economy. And so that's the important part. So that requires personnel that understand the space of what we're trying to do, have experience in doing things and the mistakes that have been made at other platforms, that they can tell us like, yeah, we tried that over there at Meta. It didn't really work very well. I would avoid that. And that saves us money. That saves us time. And it's the right thing to do. And then again, from a development standpoint, we've been able to add to the team. Ramiro's been able to add, multiple assets to our development team, which makes fan base be able to build faster and better. And so all of those things are part of what this round is about, and it's significant because it still keeps us in a space that is competitive. And what I even love about that more is in a time, and if people really understand the landscape of social media, fan base is thriving and existing in a space where other apps have received, you know, you know 10x the amount of money that we've been able to 10x the amount of money that we've been able to raise, and those apps have failed, and they've had help from venture capital, and they've had all the bells and whistles and all the red carpet rolled out for them, but they haven't been able to find product market fit. They've been disingenuous about their success, and so it takes longer when you do things right and transparent. It just takes a lot longer, and you always see these. I know, every time we see a story where some founder lied about, how many users they had or what the platform. I know you saw the AI company where the guy he just got convicted or something because it was just a whole bunch of human beings really doing the work, saying it was an AI company. It was valued at $1 billion. I'm like, we can never do anything. I would never one. We never would do anything like that. But I'm just like, I don't. We don't get the opportunity to get, to be able to fake it till we make it. We have to be real all the way, and I want it to be real all the way because I want to know. I don't want to be I don't know. A paper champion, or like, I want to know and actually build fan base and learn the knowledge and the expertise of what it takes to build a multi-billion-dollar company without cheating or cutting corners or skipping, because without that, I'm actually cheating the company and the investors. And so it's an education process that we're all proud to be a part of, and we want to continue that process. And so it takes longer when you do things the right way. But we continue to grow, and we continue to, become better.
Definitely. A few more questions. Fanbase is marketed as a Black-owned business. What percentage of the company is Black-owned? Is it at least 51%?
It's way more than that, but we
Uh-huh.
don't we don't offer that public information about that. But let me tell you, it's way it's way more than that. Because a lot of times, you know, I see that, and I know people are being. I think it's a little nitpicky. Like, is fan base truly black owned? Like, what does that mean? And I'm like, okay, was it 51%? Is it, however much percentage it is? But it is a majority black owned company, just by the fact of my involvement. And then again, and the investors that decided to invest in fan base have been primarily African American, even though we have all races of people: white, Asian, Indian, African, like all ethnics and ethnic groups and nationalities that have invested in fan base. And so that's fine. But yeah, just in the sheer structure of the company, it is a majority African American owned startup by the investment group and myself being involved.
Definitely. And one of the things that I appreciate and I learned a lot during this journey with you is the importance of ownership. You are very keen on ownership and keeping this to be Black owned. And I think that's super valuable and something that we should be saying more often. So, uh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, a lot. So I'm looking at some of the questions, and again, the reason why we don't give an exact percentage, because that's just not public. That's just information we don't provide. And most companies don't do that. I don't think I don't think you can ask any company what percentage of their company is black owned, by any standard. I mean, I don't think you can ask Pinky what percentage of her company is black owned, or a lot of these black owned businesses, and what percentage they are black owned. So that's just not usually information that companies don't give out. But we can confirm that fan base is well over 51% black owned.
all right. So someone asked, as far as the evaluation, saying, once the race is closed or once the fund is closed, will the stock value increase?
The valuation of the company will increase. And so the value of your shares will increase, because it'll be what the valuation is plus what we've raised, right? So the post money evaluation of fan base will likely be $177 million valuation once we close this round. And then in that process, with this runway that we'll have for the next, two and change years, I think that I think that'll give us the opportunity that if we do raise at another valuation, then it will increase.
All right, let's see what else we have here. We have a lot of great questions. I'm gonna answer some of the product questions that we had.
Hmm.
And I'm going to try to summarize them all in one because someone asked, hey, when are the camp admin features coming up? What are you guys doing with camp? When are you guys bringing RTMP? And also, let me see what else. When are you guys bringing what they call the fan-based store, which is the marketplace? All of those, I can say that they're part of our roadmap. So we are going to expand camps beyond audio. Today, camps is a functionality that enables you to participate of a interest-based community, and then anytime anyone in that camp creates an audio room, you get notified. But we want to go beyond that to all the other content formats that we have in Fanbase. RTMP is definitely something that we have in the roadmap. We don't want to just bring it like everyone else does it. There's a lot of thought process that has to go into a functionality like RTMP. We feel like we still need to go through some foundational stuff in the platform before we bring a functionality like RTMP, but we want to bring it. And then we're definitely looking into new ways or different ways for creators to make money in Fanbase. Today, you can make money through subscriptions and love, but we're definitely looking at other avenues, including a Fanbase marketplace. I think both Isaac and I have been talking about the importance of e-commerce and so on. So they're all part of the roadmap. For us, it's obviously focusing on what is foundational to improve retention and get us to the next level. And I think we're in the right direction. We just got a little bit more patient. We're right now doing some backlog cleaning, meaning we're ironing out a lot of things in the platform. Then we'll start simplifying some of the core elements, such as how you connect with users, how you search for content, how you consume content, and how you create content. And that's going to come sooner than we all think. And once we do that, then we're going to be able to start bringing a lot of those features that you've been asking for. And even as we do things such as simplification, we might be able to bring small things such as, when you create content, having dark mode and stuff like that. So um, just it's coming, and for those that have been with us for a very long time, we always deliver. So it's just a question of time. All right. Let's see. There's a lot of questions that came up while I was talking, guys. Let me see. We have new users here, and it's 5:43. Isaac, why don't we maybe go into for new users some of the key or basic steps they need to take to get closer to getting paid in Fanbase, making money.
Oh wow. Let me pull those up because I think I have them on me right now. But hold on. I'm not in front of my laptop, but I'll start. Let's see here. There are 9 ways that you can invest in fan base. And that is I'm sorry, not 9 ways you can invest. There are 9 practices that you can do. I'm sorry. The 9 practices that are best practices that you can do to have the best experience on fan base. And I think that's important because it allows you to really get the best out of what the platform has to offer. Now, what we do say is if you don't do these things, we can't guarantee that you will have the best experience in using the platform. So the first one is making the profile itself. Begin by setting up a fan base profile, and that's step one. Two, migrating your content over from Instagram or TikTok. That is important because you transfer that content over from either Instagram or TikTok, and it puts it in a place where people can tip your content. So it's the content that's been existing on these other platforms where no one has ever been able to actually pay you for your content, right? That's important. You can do that. Three is choosing your subscription price. Right now, the default subscription price on Fanbase is $4.99 a month. If you want to change that price, you can do it now. We have dynamic pricing coming down the line, but you email support at fanbase.app if you want to change your price. Next is adding fan base to your social bios. So we call that funneling. So basically, places all the external socials that you use, putting your fan base profile in those socials, or using something like Linktree to add fan base is one of the links to your social profiles that drive people to where you want them to go. If you're trying to convert them, especially if you're trying to monetize and or grow your audience, it's best to let people know and have that beacon of where to go. Next is setting up your payment profile. You can't get paid unless you set up a payment profile. That's easily done inside the app. We use Stripe, which is the same payment processor for Lyft and DoorDash and Instacart. So your money gets paid at the first of every month. Anything over $5 gets paid out. It goes directly to you, but you got to set up a profile to be able to get paid. Next is posting exclusive content. So sharing at least 5 pieces of exclusive content that entice people to actually experience what you have to offer beyond the content that you can do and post for free on the platform. And so that's the way if you want to monetize, you do that. We say 5 pieces because you can unlock one piece of content at a time for the time being. And so you might as well be able to garner the ability to have a subscriber. If you post at least 5 pieces of content, it's more people are more inclined to subscribe to get those 5 than unlock one or so at a time. Next, creating an audio camp. As Ramiro said earlier, camps are going to go beyond just audio. They're micro communities that you build that are based off topics of interest that you create. And so that's a great way to build community and scale and grow on the platform. There's a lot of things going on. We got the NBA finals coming up. So I'm pretty sure there's some Oklahoma City Thunder fans or basketball fans. And so being able to create camps around those particular topics help you build community, and then encourage people to actually download Fanbase. Just tell people like this is where we're at, this is where we're going, this is the next place. Motivate your friends, your community, your fans, anybody that you deal with, that you want to communicate with, to download Fanbase, and then asking people to subscribe. And this is so important because I've actually from time to time get questions about like how do I make money on fan base? And I think the first thing is that it's the lack of awareness that most individuals don't know that having the ability to have subscribers turns you into a business by default. Everybody that's on this platform right now has the ability to receive revenue just by posting content. And that's incredible. And so I've told some of my people that, hey, do you have $100+ sitting in your fan base account? Like, what? And I'm like, you didn't know that? I'm like, no, I didn't know that because they haven't logged onto the app in a while. But the sheer fact that their content is in a place where people can be transactional and either subscribe or tip them, they've discovered that they're actually making money. And so you have to ask people to subscribe the same way that Kai Cenat asked people to subscribe to him on Twitch, the same way someone asked someone that's in on OnlyFans, ask someone to subscribe. The way someone on Patreon asks one to subscribe. You have to ask people to subscribe. That's the only way. And I think there's a little apprehension and fear of rejection or not really receiving the amount of subscribers that you think. But it just starts with one, and one becomes two, two becomes four, and four becomes eight, and so on and so forth. And so you really just have to have the courage to ask and not be afraid to be compensated for content that you deem exclusive, and people will pay for it. And if the quality is there, if the interest is there, you will gain more subscribers because people will be word of mouth. They say, hey, there's this great content that I saw on Fanbase. You should subscribe to this guy. He posts these great cooking videos or these great workout videos or these funny stories or whatever. And people are a lot more amenable to paying for content in that way now more than ever, as we see the decentralization of platforms like the decentralization of content and platforms like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu struggling to gain audience at scale because people can now become their own Netflix on a platform like Fanbase. You have your own subscribers. You know what I'm saying? You create your own content, you create your own audience, and you own that audience and scale that audience to as big as you want without anybody telling you what you can and cannot do. And so those are the 9 best practices that we suggest you use in Fanbase to be able to grow on the platform.
Awesome. I love it. I can tell the platform, it's almost like you found it.
I
All
know a
right.
little something.
Yeah. So something I want to share that we didn't talk, we usually do that at the beginning of the audio room, is the extra incentives that you get by investing in Fanbase. And I want to go quickly by that because I know we have a lot of investors that invested and they might be waiting for perks. So let's talk a little bit about those perks that you get depending on how much you invest. So just by default, if you are an existing investor, meaning that you invested in Fanbase in any of the past 3 rounds, you are going to get automatically 5% bonus shares. Okay, out of the bat, that's what's you're gonna get if you're a past investor. Then you have 5 tiers that, depending on how much you invest, you get different perks. Tier 1, which is $600 or more, you're gonna be able to be part of the early access list, where you're gonna be able to participate in testing and giving your feedback on new features. In fact, we are starting our first round very soon. I did mention we're going to be working on simplifying the home feed, how you consume content, how you create content, and the early access list is going to be able to participate in this as well, which is exciting. Then on tier 2 is $1,000 or more. You're going to be part of this early access list. You're going to get 10,000 labs that you can use on Fanbase, and also a verified profile badge, the blue badge that you see out there. Then on tier 3, if you invest $2,500 or more, you're gonna get everything that I shared, 15,000 labs to use on Fanbase. You're gonna get a Fanbase t-shirt. We've been shipping a lot of this merch out there to investors, and we are restocking once again because there's a lot of investors, which is great, and a lot of them are getting t-shirts as well. So if you're waiting for one, it's on the way. And you're also gonna get a verified profile badge, which is the blue badge. Tier 4 is $5,000 or more. You're gonna get everything that I share. For tier 3, you're gonna get 20,000 labs instead of 15,000. You're gonna get the Fanbase t-shirt, an early investor gold verified profile badge, and also you're gonna get 5% bonus shares. So if you're a prior investor that you invested in one of the past 3 rounds, and you invest $5,000 or more in this round, you're gonna get automatically 10% bonus shares, 5% for being a past investor, and 5% for being part of tier 4. And then last but not least, tier 5, if you invest $10,000 or more, you're going to get everything that I share on the past tiers. You're going to get 30,000 labs. You're going to get a t-shirt, the gold verified badge. You're also going to be part of a dinner with us. We're hoping, as soon as we close it, to get everyone that is part of the this tier, which is $10,000 or more, to come and have dinner with us, have an amazing evening so we can celebrate that milestone. But that's the only perk that is going to happen when we close the race. Everything else, we can assign those as you invest. And last but not least, you're going to get 10% bonus shares. Again, if you're a past investor from prior rounds and you invest $10,000 or more in this one, you're gonna get 15% bonus shares, 10% for being part of tier 5 and 5% for being a past investor. So plenty of extra reasons why you should invest in Fanbase. Good news is that we are able to stack these investments and aggregate them. So if you want to invest multiple times to reach a specific tier, you can do so. We ask you to always try to do it on the with the same account, so it's easier for us to match those investments. But once you reinvest, you can reach out to support and let them know, and they'll stack those investments and they make you part of that corresponding tier. Okay. You can also claim your perks right away as soon as you invest. Now, have in mind that we get the information from Start Engine a week after you invest, or up to a week after you invest. So sometimes we get that information with a little bit of delay, so be patient. But you will get a welcome email from us, and in there, you're going to have a button call to action where you can actually reach out to support and claim your perks as well. Okay. So, definitely a lot of reasons for you to be part of the Fanbase journey. And if you have any questions on these specific perks, please let us know. We're glad to answer as well. Okay. All right. We're at 5:54 already. Wow. I'm trying to see, Isaac, if you see any other questions on the investment itself. And let's see. Someone says, how do we set our fee for subscribers?
So the default price right now is $4.99. If you want to make that change, and our price points range from $2.99 all the way to $99.99 a month. There are 8 price points. You email investor support at Fanbase and tell them what subscription price you would like, and they will change that. That's not something that we're going to change often. So make sure that it's what you want to do until we get dynamic pricing where you yourself can change your subscription price internally. So right now it's $4.99, but if you want to make it more or less, you can contact support at fanbase.app and request that change.
Definitely, definitely. All right. So someone did ask um, two things that I think are related. One of them asked, is there a way to see a public roadmap or fan base? And number two is there a place where I can see what are the minimum requirements, which is what kind of, being an app, what's the latest or the earliest device that we support. So two things. We are working on a brand new help center, and the help center not only it will enable you to understand what tickets you might have open with Fanbase and be able to follow up, but also we're going to be revamping our knowledge base. So we're really going to help you not only guide you through the platform, but also we are going to have a public place where you can see all the release notes, potentially a roadmap as well, and also where are the minimum versions and models that we support as well. So we are revamping that as well, and that's going to come very soon. But the tech support team with the product marketing team are working on that right now. Okay, so I wanted to answer that. Um, let's see. Duran, come on. Don't you know us? Do you think we will spill the secret sauce? We'll definitely want to let our users and investors know what's coming up, but we're not going to say it all. There's a lot of
Yeah, that doesn't
great
make
features.
sense. That's like, who wants to give away all the secrets?
Come on,
Come on,
of
guy. I mean,
course.
I know Duran knows there, but no company. I mean, he's right. I think somebody was asking like a public roadmap, and I was like, no, that doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of,
We
there's a
will.
lot of. I actually, it's something funny because I sent internally a startup that's making an adjustment to their business model, and even what they decided to offer, I was just like, that's all y'all came up with. I was like, oh man, I didn't even, it's crazy because a lot of these companies don't have the vision or the um the innovation to really see, what people want or what they're able to do. And so I was just laughing um about what they decided to offer in this extra, I guess opportunity that they have for their platform. And I was like, we got way better ideas than that.
Well, yeah, the idea behind the public roadmap is to share some of the functionality that we already know that is coming, that is not obviously some functionality that we will protect through IP. So no worries
I
on
mean,
that.
we know for sure that um a really robust, algorithm is part of what we're working on. Simplifying the app is something we're working on, making the posting process a lot more seamless, making the ability to find users and search a lot more simplified and connected, the ability to find your friends um, a lot easier. So it's a lot of things that are happening in real time.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll definitely be transparent with that as well. All right, so we're getting close to the end of our audio room. Again, we do this every Tuesday at 5 p.m. There's other great rooms that are going on in Fanbase. I also encourage you, if you want to talk technology and development, to come and join me on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. In there, we can talk about roadmap functionality that is coming up. And if you're an investor, please come over so you can see your money in action as well. And you can see how we're making progress through a lot of the work. A lot of this work is actually uh, invisible work that might not seem important, but it does make a difference on your experience as well. So come on
Absolutely.
over. We get definitely tech in there and with more details. So I encourage you to come. All right. So with that said, Mr. Isaac, if you can please give us a brief summary for those that joined late, that would be amazing.
Yeah, this is our Tuesday investor town hall that we do every Tuesday on Fanbase to let Users know the progress of our equity crowdfund and what's going on. Our current raise is $17 million. And so far of that $17 million, we raised $12,272,057. So we need about a little less than $5 million to close this round. And when that does close, you will no longer be able to invest in Fanbase um, at this valuation. So we tell everybody, go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. A minimum of $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock at Fanbase at $665 a share. And we're excited to continue to push forward and scale this startup in a way that now we know we can because of the capital and the resources that we have available to do that. So tap in with us. Don't miss the next audio room. I would say I invest as soon as possible because I'm telling you now that we are actively trying to close this round rapidly through some other channels that we won't speak about, but we're definitely looking forward to the opportunity to close this round in the near future. And we are having conversations to be able to do that.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna leave you with our Founders Promise. If you haven't seen it, stay around so you can see what we're about. And we'll see you, hear you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, guys.
Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome it. We stand for those who defy suppression, who speak out, and those who walk the road less traveled. Everyone deserves to be seen and their voices be heard. We're sparking a movement, growing a community of creators united by the desire for freedom, choice, equity, and ownership. At Fanbase, it's all for one and one for all. We support each other to guide, promote, and uplift you in a place where you can unapologetically be yourself. A place where your voice, ideas, and creativity are not just welcomed, but celebrated. We are Black founded, minority funded, and supported by a diverse, inclusive, powerful community that believes in the strength of authenticity and individual choice. Regardless of success or background, we welcome you. The marginalized, the underappreciated, the successful, the superstar. We're for all who seek a space to express themselves freely, where they are rewarded for being their authentic, true self. We transcend labels because only we have the right to define ourselves. We are built for the brave, the culture, the creators, and for the future where everyone has the power to shape their own destiny, where all are empowered, voices are amplified, and freedom is embraced. For the first time, you have a chance to own the platform you helped make popular. It's a revolution, a movement in how we connect, create, and share. Everyone is a creator, and everyone has a fan base. Here, you can be you without limits.
All right. There you have it. Another Tuesday Invest Town Hall with Rama, CTO, and Isaac, CEO of Fanbase. Only on Fanbase. Thanks for joining. Memoirs onboarding, Memoirs podcasting. Au revoir. Tout à l'heure. Tout à l'heure.